Karlissa Saffold and Chrisean Rock just went to war after Karlissa secretly got her hands on Junior's DNA sample without permission. For years, Chrisean has done everything possible to dodge this test, even going as far as creating fraudulent documents to convince everyone that Blueface is Junior's father. Remember Ronny Doe, the guy who tragically passed away just days after his most vocal demands for a paternity test? Turns out he might have been telling the truth this whole time, because the DNA evidence Karlissa is now pursuing could flip everything Chrisean has been claiming on its head. Blueface has been questioning Junior's paternity since before he was even born. When he first started demanding proof, people labeled him a deadbeat, but maybe he was onto something all along because he knew exactly what kind of person he was dealing with. The streets are buzzing with theories about why someone would go to such extreme lengths to hide the truth. And when you look at the timeline of events, the patterns start getting real suspicious. One person's fighting for answers, another's creating fake paperwork, and now somebody's no longer here to see how this all plays out. The question isn't just about who Junior's father really is, it's about why the truth was buried so deep that it might have changed someone's life forever. Karlissa dropped a bombshell when she went live, claiming someone handed her a DNA sample from Junior. She didn't reveal who provided it, but she made it crystal clear what her intentions were. She posted a grandparent DNA test kit on her social media, signaling that she's ready to find out once and for all if she's actually Junior's grandmother. According to Karlissa, she's doing this to put an end to all the confusion between Blueface and Chrisean. But let's be real, this move was calculated. Karlissa knows that if this test comes back negative, everything Chrisean has built around this narrative crumbles instantly. The tension between these two women has been building for years, and this DNA test is the nuclear option. What makes this even messier is that Karlissa isn't the only one trying to get answers. Blueface's father, Jonathan, was recently caught on camera attempting to swab Junior's mouth during a livestream. Chrisean was right there and didn't even notice what was happening. The family is clearly moving in silence. Gathering what they need to expose what they believe is a massive deception. When Chrisean found out what Karlissa was planning, she completely lost it. Reports claim she made statements about physically confronting Karlissa the next time she sees her, and things got so heated that restraining orders started getting filed. Chrisean even warned Karlissa on social media to stop talking about her son, but Karlissa fired back saying she's not backing down until the truth comes out. The relationship between Karlissa and Chrisean has always been toxic, but this DNA situation pushed everything over the edge. These two can't stand each other, and now that Karlissa is inserting herself directly into the paternity question, Chrisean sees it as a personal attack. But here's what's interesting. If Chrisean really had nothing to hide, why not just let them do the test and be done with it? The resistance alone raises eyebrows, especially when you consider everything else that's been happening behind the scenes. Blueface never believed Junior was his from the very beginning. When Chrisean first announced her pregnancy, he immediately went on the attack. He tweeted that he and Chrisean were done and that she was pregnant with someone else's child, not his. He didn't hold back either, claiming Chrisean had been involved with 10 different men in the past year. He made it clear he wasn't claiming that baby until he saw legitimate DNA proof. People dragged him online for being heartless, calling him every name in the book, but Blueface stood firm on his position, and looking back now, maybe he had good reason to doubt everything. When Chrisean was pregnant, Blueface even offered her $100,000 to terminate the pregnancy. He was desperate to avoid having a child with her, tweeting about how she was trying to trap him and force this baby on him. He told the courts that he didn't want this kid and that she still had time to make a different choice. But Chrisean refused and went ahead with the pregnancy anyway. Even after Junior was born, Blueface never fully embraced fatherhood. Sure, he played along sometimes, especially when he got out of prison recently, but those moments never lasted long. He'd be around Junior one day, then back to questioning paternity the next. The inconsistency speaks volumes about his true feelings on the situation. Then came the Zeus Network DNA test. This was supposed to settle everything once and for all. The results came back saying Blueface was not excluded as the biological father, which essentially meant he was Junior's dad. Chrisean acted like this was her victory lap, and for a while it seemed like the debate was over, but here's where things get murky. Rumors started circulating that Zeus tampered with those results because they needed it for the storyline. Reality TV thrives on drama, and what's more dramatic than a paternity reveal? The speculation is that the network manipulated the outcome to keep viewers engaged, and Chrisean went along with it because it gave her exactly what she needed. A way to lock Blueface into this narrative, whether he liked it or not. Blueface himself has hinted that the Zeus test wasn't legitimate. In December 2023, he claimed he secretly did another DNA test, and the results proved he wasn't Junior's father. He posted on social media saying he couldn't even pretend he wasn't happy about it. For someone who supposedly just found out he's not a father, his reaction was telling. It wasn't sadness or disappointment. It was pure relief. That's not the response of someone who wanted to be a dad but got bad news. That's the response of someone who knew all along they were being set up. But despite his claims, Blueface has never shown any receipts for this alleged second test. No paperwork, no documentation, nothing. Just his word against Chrisean's fraudulent test. And because he's been in and out of legal trouble and is currently serving time, his credibility gets questioned. People wonder if he's just saying this to avoid child support or to hurt Chrisean. But when you line up all the evidence and all the suspicious behavior, it starts looking less like he's lying and more like he's been telling an inconvenient truth that nobody wanted to hear. Enter Ronny Doe. This is where the story takes a dark turn. Ronny was Chrisean's ex-boyfriend from Baltimore, and he came forward in late 2024 claiming that Junior was actually his son, not Blueface's. According to Ronny, he and Chrisean were together around the time Junior was conceived. He said Blueface knew Chrisean was going back and forth between Los Angeles and Baltimore during that period. Seeing both of them, Ronny wasn't trying to stir up drama for clout. He genuinely believed that child was his, and he wanted the opportunity to step up and be a father if the DNA proved it. Ronny went public with his claims on Instagram, pleading for Chrisean to agree to a paternity test. He said he deserved to know the truth, and that if Junior wasn't his son, the test would prove that, but if Junior was his, he wanted the chance to be a stand-up man and take care of his responsibilities. His requests weren't aggressive or threatening at first. He was just asking for clarity. But Chrisean ignored him completely. She refused to acknowledge his claims, wouldn't agree to testing, and acted like he didn't exist. Things escalated in November 2024 when Ronny confronted Chrisean at a mall. The encounter was caught on camera, and you could see the desperation in Ronny's voice. He approached her while she had Junior with her, insisting that the baby was his son. Chrisean looked shocked and uncomfortable, telling him to leave her alone and threatening to call security. Ronny kept saying nobody was stalking her, and that he just wanted to know if Junior was his child. Security eventually stepped in and separated them, but the damage was done. The video went viral, and people started questioning why Chrisean was so resistant to giving this man a simple DNA test. Ronny claimed he was present when Chrisean's water broke and that he saw Junior when he came out of the hospital. He even said he knew who cut the umbilical cord. These aren't vague accusations, these are specific details that suggest he was intimately involved during that time. He also filed legal paperwork, trying to force a paternity test, but according to him, Chrisean kept dodging the legal process. She wouldn't respond to court documents, wouldn't show up when required, and basically did everything possible to avoid being legally compelled to test Junior's DNA. Karlissa Saffold even sided with Ronny at one point, saying she couldn't understand why Chrisean was dragging her feet if Ronny truly wasn't the father. Karlissa said if someone came to her with those claims and she knew they were false, she'd give them the test immediately just to shut them up and move on. The fact that Chrisean refused to do that made Karlissa suspicious, and it made a lot of other people suspicious too. What was Chrisean afraid of finding out? Why go through all this trouble to avoid a test that would supposedly prove she's been telling the truth all along? Then everything changed on February 3rd, 2025. Ronny Doe was involved in a tragic incident outside a home in Severn, Maryland, just 25 minutes from Baltimore. Police responded to reports of an emergency around 7 in the evening and found Ronny on the ground with serious injuries. Officers immediately tried to save his life, administering first aid at the scene before rushing him to the University of Maryland Baltimore Washington Medical Center. Despite their efforts, Ronny didn't make it. He was only 24 years old. Authorities classified what happened to Ronny as a targeted incident, not a random occurrence. That detail is crucial. This wasn't something that happened by chance. Someone specifically went after Ronny Doe. The investigation is still ongoing, and no arrests have been made public as of now, but the timing has people asking uncomfortable questions. Ronny spent months demanding a DNA test, publicly calling out Chrisean, and refusing to back down. Then suddenly, just weeks after his most vocal confrontations, he's gone. Ronny's uncle posted a heartbreaking tribute on Facebook that went viral. He wrote about how this felt like a nightmare and that he'd been grieving all night. He talked about watching Ronny grow up, and being there every step of the way. The pain in his words was real. And he ended the post by praying for justice, so the family could have closure. The post made it clear that Ronny's family believes something terrible happened, and they want answers. Social media exploded with theories, and a lot of people started pointing fingers at Chrisean, suggesting she had something to do with it. There's no evidence of that, but the speculation shows how suspicious people find the whole situation. What Chrisean did next only made things worse. Just days after what happened to Ronny, she posted DNA test results on Junior's Instagram account, claiming to prove that Blueface is the father. The test was dated from May 2023, showing a prenatal paternity test with results indicating Blueface was not excluded as the biological father. On the surface, this should have ended the debate, but people immediately started questioning the timing. Why wait until after Ronny is no longer here to post this? If she had these results all along, why not show them when Ronny was alive and demanding answers? The whole thing felt like a calculated move to control the narrative now that Ronny couldn't fight back anymore. But here's where everything falls apart. That DNA test Chrisean posted turned out to be completely fake. Someone reached out to Steve Wilkos, and his team decided to investigate. They called the hospital listed on the paperwork to verify the case number and the details of the test. What they found was damning. The hospital had no record of that case number. The dates didn't match up with any test performed during that time frame. The entire document was fabricated. Chrisean had been running around for years with fraudulent DNA results, using them to convince the world that Blueface was Junior's father when the test never even happened. The fact that she went this far shows how desperate she was to maintain the lie. Creating fake medical documents isn't something you do on a whim. It takes effort, planning, and a complete disregard for the truth. Chrisean knew people were questioning her, knew Ronny was demanding proof, and knew Blueface's family was suspicious. So instead of coming clean, she doubled down with fabricated evidence, and it worked for a while. People believed her because why would someone fake something like that? But now the truth is out, and her credibility is destroyed. This whole situation has people looking at the Zeus network test differently too. If Chrisean was willing to fake a hospital DNA test, what's stopping her from manipulating the results of a reality TV test? The rumors about Zeus rigging the results for storyline purposes don't seem so far-fetched anymore. Reality television isn't exactly known for its authenticity, and when money and ratings are involved, ethics tend to take a back seat. If the network needed Blueface to be the father for their show to work, they could have easily made that happen, and Chrisean, who desperately needed that result to be true, would have every reason to go along with it. The relationship between Karlissa and Chrisean has completely deteriorated at this point. These two women have been at each other's throats for years, but the DNA drama pushed their feud into dangerous territory. Karlissa has publicly accused Chrisean of using substances during her pregnancy, claiming that's why Junior allegedly has developmental challenges. Chrisean fired back, saying Karlissa is exploiting Junior for attention and doesn't even know him well enough to make those judgments. The back and forth has been vicious, with both sides slinging accusations and airing out family business for the world to see. Karlissa claims the real reason Chrisean is so upset about the DNA test is because she's moved on from Blueface and has a new man. According to Karlissa, Chrisean doesn't want the truth to come out because it would ruin her new relationship and expose her as a liar to her new partner. Chrisean, on the other hand, says Karlissa is just a bitter woman who can't stand seeing her happy. She posted rants about living in a nice house in Baltimore and making real money, suggesting that Karlissa is jealous of her success. The pettiness between them is off the charts, but underneath all the insults, there's a real battle happening over Junior's paternity and what it means for everyone involved. Things got so bad that Karlissa filed for a restraining order against Chrisean. She claims Chrisean made direct statements about physically confronting her, and she's not taking any chances. Karlissa also said she contacted federal authorities after Chrisean made what she interpreted as concerning statements against Blueface. Whether those statements were serious or just emotional outbursts is up for debate, but Karlissa made sure to document everything and involve law enforcement. This isn't just family drama anymore, it's legal action, restraining orders, and federal investigations. Meanwhile, Blueface is sitting in prison watching all of this unfold from behind bars. He's currently serving a 4-year sentence for a battery incident from 2021 and probation violations. When he was briefly out before getting locked up again, he spent time with Junior and seemed to be trying to play the father role. But it didn't last. Within weeks, he was back to questioning paternity and distancing himself from Chrisean. His social media post showed someone who was relieved to not be tied to this situation, not someone mourning the loss of a relationship with his child. Blueface's mixed signals have confused a lot of people. Sometimes he refers to Junior as his son, other times he flat out denies it. He'll post pictures with the kid one day, then claim he's not the father the next. This inconsistency makes it hard to pin down what he really believed. But when you consider that he's been trapped in this narrative by a potentially fake DNA test and a reality TV show that needed him to be the father, his behavior starts making more sense. He's stuck between what he knows to be true and what the public has been told is true. And because he doesn't have concrete proof either way that he's willing to share publicly, he's caught in this limbo. The whole situation is a mess of lies, manipulation, and tragedy. Junior is an innocent child caught in the middle of toxic adults who care more about being right than about his well-being. One man is no longer here, another is in prison, and a woman is being exposed for creating fraudulent documents. And through it all, the real question still hasn't been answered. Who is Junior's biological father? Karlissa is moving forward with her grandparent DNA test, and when those results come back, we'll finally know if she's really Junior's grandmother, or if everything Chrisean has been saying for years was built on lies. If the test proves Blueface isn't the father, the fallout is going to be massive. Chrisean will be exposed as someone who deceived everyone, including possibly trapping a man into fatherhood through fraud. Blueface will have been vindicated after years of being called a deadbeat. And most tragically, Ronny Doe will have been proven right after losing everything while fighting for the truth. If the test proves Blueface is the father, then the question becomes why Chrisean felt the need to fake documents when she had legitimate proof all along. Either way, the truth is about to come out, and somebody's world is about to get turned completely upside down. What's clear is that Chrisean went to extraordinary lengths to avoid DNA testing. She refused Ronny's requests, dodged legal proceedings, created fake test results, and pushed back against anyone who questioned her story. That's not the behavior of someone confident in the truth. That's the behavior of someone desperately trying to protect a lie. And now that lie might have changed someone's life forever. Whether Chrisean had any direct involvement in what happened to Ronny or not, the fact remains that he's no longer here after fighting for answers she refused to give him. That's a weight she'll have to carry regardless of what the DNA results ultimately show. The internet is waiting to see what happens when Karlissa's test results come back. Will they prove that Junior belongs to Blueface's family? Or will they reveal that this entire situation was built on deception from the start? One thing's for sure. The truth always finds a way to surface, no matter how deep you try to bury it. And when it does, the consequences are going to be devastating for everyone involved. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel to not miss any of the celebrity gossip. Thanks for watching.